Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Then my name is Vicky and I do loads of food content on this channel. So today I've got 5 really easy ramen recipes for you that are quick to make and delicious, and I've also got a homemade kimchi recipe. So kimchi is a traditionally Korean side dish and it's made from cabbage, carrot, spices, which are then fermented. Now I found a recipe, which I will leave the original link down below, by a lady called Chi. And she calls this her emergency kimchi recipe because it's much more simple than your traditional kimchi. It takes about 5 minutes to make and it's a lot cheaper than buying it here in the UK especially. By no means an original recipe. The original one contains squid, which I don't have, so we're not putting any squid in it. If you're not interested in seeing the kimchi recipe, then I will put a timestamp on the screen now so you can skip past that. But I highly recommend it. It goes hand in hand with the ramen as well. Now when I say ramen, typically ramen, the definition of it is a clear broth with noodles in. So when I say ramen, I am talking about these cheap instant noodles. These come with a flavour packet, you add water to make your broth, you add the noodles, hence ramen. These are about 34p a pack. This is actually the Pan Asia brand. You can get all sorts of different brands. But I've come up with 5 affordable ways to transform these from a teenager's lunch snack into an evening meal. So make sure you watch through to the very end because they're all very different. And let's get into the video. So ingredients wise, you're going to need 2 Chinese leaf or napa cabbage. If you can't find these, you can use just white cabbage or red cabbage, and I chopped this up into around 1-inch pieces, and this is about a kilo because it really does shrink down. You need 70 grams of salt, 250 ml of water, 1 carrot and 3 spring onions, about 30 grams of Korean red pepper flakes, which I will talk to you more about in a moment, a tablespoon of sugar, 60 ml of fish sauce, and about 5 cloves of garlic. And I will leave all this typed out in the description box below just in case you've missed anything. So to our 2 pounds or roughly a kilo of cabbage, we're going to add 70 grams or a 1/4 cup of salt, which seems a hell of a lot, but I'm just following the recipe. So I'm going to measure everything out in cups because that's what the recipe's in, but I'll also let you know what we use because we use like millilitres and grams. 1 cup of water, which is 250 ml. I feel like you'd need a lot more, but now it says mix it with your hands to ensure the cabbage is completely salted. So I'm just gonna use a bigger bowl. We're gonna set that aside for 10 minutes. So the recipe calls for about 1/4 cup of julienne carrot. I've just used a medium-sized carrot because I'm not gonna throw away like this much. And then it says 3 or 4 stalks of green onion. And again, it says use about 1/4 cup, which is roughly the amount of salt I put in. So again, I've just used 3 or 4, I've actually just used 3 green onions. So that's what I'm using, and now we're going to add our other ingredients. So I need another bowl. So these are the red pepper flakes I got. It just says on there red pepper powder coarse, which basically means flakes. It says on there somewhere for kimchi, and it says product of Korea on there somewhere as well. This is what the guy in the shop said. They do say for kimchi on the bottle. I've looked on Amazon, they do this same brand. So this is the kind of thing you need if you are ordering on Amazon, or if you're going into a health food shop, just make sure you ask for the Korean red pepper flakes. Apparently we need 1/3 cup, but I'll also weigh it out for you. So 1/3 cup of very coarsely ground red pepper flakes it's pretty much 30 grams. So if you don't have cups and you're measuring like we usually do, just using scales, then a 1/3 cup is about 30 grams of pepper flakes. Obviously if it was a different substance, 1/3 cup would probably weigh slightly different. So that's why I'm weighing it out. Gonna put our carrot, spring onion, red pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1/4 cup of fish sauce. I'm using this one that I believe I bought in Sainsbury's. 1/4 cup is 60 ml in case you're wondering. And goes the fish sauce. And last but not least, we're using 1/4 cup of minced garlic, which is around, I would say, 5 garlic cloves. It's supposed to be minced. I'm lazy, I'm using chopped garlic because life's too short to chop garlic. And this is our paste apparently. So I'm going to mix this together. So we want to wash the cabbage 2 or 3 times, get all the salt out, then we're going to drain it. I had to get in there with my hands, but it's thoroughly mixed, and now we are going to cram it into our jar. So what you want to do is push down as much as you can so that the vegetables are like fully compact as much as you can. Clean around the rim. Obviously sterilise your utensils first. I have thoroughly sterilised my jar. So once you put your lid on, you can store your kimchi in a room temperature room, or in a room that's obviously going to be room temperature, and it will begin to ferment. You can put it straight in the fridge and eat it straight away, but if you want traditional kimchi where it starts to ferment, you want to leave it 2 or 3 days. Then you can transfer it to the fridge where things will happen at a much slower rate, and this stuff lasts forever. Well, it doesn't, because it gets eaten very, very fast, but if you don't eat it very fast, it will be fine in your fridge for weeks on end because everything's fermented. So just make sure you sterilise everything. But yeah, I will not be eating this today. I'm going to leave it a good few days. I'm actually going to leave mine in my kitchen cupboard, and we're going to see what happens. It should start to ferment, and we will have a perfect homemade kimchi. It looks so good already, and it smells amazing. I will leave the recipe I've used linked down below. It tastes good. I have tasted a little bit. It tastes amazing as it is, so I cannot wait to taste it in a few days' time. So now it's time to get into the ramen recipes, and some of my favourite toppings are freshly chopped spring onions, freshly chopped red chillies, sriracha sauce. I also love these crispy onions on the top of ramen, and tons of fresh coriander. You literally cannot beat this flavour combination. So for this version of our noodles or our ramen, I'm actually going to be using a little bit of different flavourings. So I've got this rich and creamy coconut milk. This is like a smaller tin, and in here this delightful looking stuff is green Thai curry paste. There's probably about 3 tablespoons of that in there. I've got some baby corn, some pak choy, some manchatou, some spring onions. So we're going to use this and we're going to make a curry base. I've also got some chicken breast, and we're basically just going to fry it all together, and instead of adding liquid in the form of water, I'm going to use the coconut milk and the Thai curry paste. Hopefully it will give a different kind of consistency to the noodles. So the first thing we're going to do is get chopping and frying our veg. So I just heated some coconut oil in my wok, and I'm just going to pop in some chicken, thinly sliced, because I just think it goes with the noodles better. So after seasoning my chicken with some salt and pepper, I went ahead and added my vegetables. You don't have to limit yourself here, you can add absolutely anything, whatever you've got in the fridge or freezer. I actually had some garden peas, so I decided to put some frozen peas in as well, just to add some more veg and colour. Then I went ahead and popped in my couple of tablespoons of Thai green curry paste. I'm going to give that 3 or 4 minutes just to start to heat the vegetables through. Then I'm literally just going to add in my noodles and my coconut milk. Judge it with the water, see if I need to add a tiny splash of that as well. And we're well on our way to being done. So for this recipe, I'm using these Yum Soo chicken curry flavour instant noodles. These are from the Yum Soo brand, and you can get them in B&M. They're 35p a pack. You definitely don't always need 1 pack per person either. So I'm going to throw 2 in here, because with all our veggies and chicken, this is going to stretch. I'm going to add the little curry powder seasonings, because that's literally all it is. It says on it medium curry. So we're just going to add some more curry seasoning, because we want curry. Next up, we're going to add our coconut milk. I've got a 200ml can, and I'm going to pour that all over the top. I'm going to mix it through. I'm going to nestle our noodles in there. What I'm going to do is add a tin of water, rinse out the coconut milk tin. We're going to bring that up to a simmer, and those noodles are going to soften with all those lovely flavours, the green Thai curry, the coconut milk, and it's going to make a really creamy, noodly, comforting dish. So that is now looking, and more importantly smelling, amazing. You may have wondered why I haven't put any chilli in, or any fresh chilies. It's because I'm actually planning to put a massive, teaspoon of the sambal chili oil that I've got on the top. It tops this off perfectly. You can get it in Sainsbury's, you can get it in Tesco's. I will show you the jar when I've dug it out, but if you wanted to, you could always add fresh chilies into this instead. So here we are served up, and all I'm going to do is add some some of the sambal chili oil on the top. And that's our Thai green curry ramen with lots and lots of chili on top. So I'm just going to put some salmon in the air fryer. I've got 2 salmon fillets and I've just put some teriyaki sauce on the top. So I've left the skin on and I'm just going to pop them in on the fish setting, and then I'm going to start on my ramen. One of the things I love most about using these noodles and things is that you can just use up everything you've got in the fridge. So what we're going for today, we've got some peeled carrot, which I think goes really well with the noodles. Fresh red chilies because I put them on everything. Today I'm going to add in a leek because that's what I've got. Typically with salmon I'd maybe add broccoli, but I don't have any, so I'm just literally using up what's in the fridge. Got some mushrooms, some red onion and some red pepper, and I'm just going to spray my wok with some coconut oil and start to fry these off. I'm going to add tamarind paste, which is a really nice limey citrusy flavour and it goes really well with seafood. So I'll put 2 teaspoons of that. So here is our salmon ramen noodle dish, and the tamarind that we put in it makes everything very, very citrusy and limey, so you don't need to add any extra lime. The teriyaki sauce on the salmon has gone really sticky, and I've just topped it with some roasted black sesame seeds as well. That is our salmon ramen dish. Packed full of veggies and really, really nice flavours. In my opinion, one of the most perfect accompaniments for these noodles is the gyoza that you can buy frozen now. You can either get the Itsu brand, which they do in most supermarkets, and they have actually recently started doing them in Aldi. So those are the ones I used. And the best way to cook them is to actually heat up some oil and pop them in a pan and fry them for 5 minutes. That gives you a really nice crispy bottom. And then if you add about 5 tablespoons of cold water and put a lid on, they continue steaming, and you give them about another 5 minutes, and then you get the perfect crispy bottom but the nice gyoza textured top. So that's a really good way of cooking them. So to this I just made up the broth as according to the package instructions on the noodles. I add my noodle packets in. I also added a stir fry packet with cabbage and carrots and spring onions in it, and you can see that the gyoza come out really nice and crispy on the bottom. It's my favourite way of cooking them, and I just served these with a little dip that I made up with sriracha, lime juice, soy sauce and teriyaki, just to dip the gyoza in, and of course topped with lots and lots of fresh coriander. I think one of my favourite things about these packets of noodles is that they're just so versatile, and because they already come with like a flavour sachet, you haven't got to worry about hitting the flavours exactly. So this one I decided to use some fresh broccoli, red peppers, onion and garlic. Then I added some soy sauce and some fish sauce, which is a personal taste, you could always leave it out. And I also cooked some corn pieces, so it's great for vegetarians. Like if my mum comes over, she would happily eat this because she doesn't eat meat. So I cooked all those ingredients together, and then because I was making an extra large batch, I actually cooked my noodles on their own in a different pan. And you'll see that I cooked mushrooms separately too. That's because like 3 out of the 5 of us like mushrooms and the other 2 don't. And like I said, the perfect toppings for your ramen are chopped spring onions, sriracha sauce, fresh red chilies, tons and tons of fresh coriander and crispy onions. I also sometimes put some lime juice on top or mix in a little bit of peanut butter. It just goes really, really well. This is one of our favourites, and it's a great one if you're trying to cut back on your meat intake. So last but not least, I thought I'd better actually film some ramen with my homemade kimchi, which is very, very quickly declining. I'll show you in a minute how much I've got left. So I've got one of the spicy packets in here, and I add a little bit of kimchi in there to cook along with my noodles. And then I'm also going to add a bit to the top afterwards. And yeah, this is all I have left from that entire jar that I made. So I need to get making some more. It is honestly the nicest thing. I put it on absolutely everything. So I'm aware you can add boiled egg to your ramen, but I actually prefer mine lightly fried. The kimchi's looking really good in there. I'm just going to add a nice amount to go with the egg. We're going to then top that with crispy onions and some black sesame seeds. So there we go, my homemade kimchi ramen with fried egg, toasted sesame seeds and crispy onions. So that is it for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it and maybe it's inspired you to have a go at some of these recipes. If it has, then I'd love for you to subscribe and stick around for more content. Hit the like button so I know how many people did enjoy it, and I'll be back really soon with another video. Take care, guys.
Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too.